you had taken Dr. Heavenly off the guest list. She still showed up, and then she found her way into the ceremony. I'm curious how much of in the moment you were aware of that. So like, obviously you knew you had taken her off the list, but did you know there was drama at the door? Did you notice during the ceremony her coming in?
Yeah. Oh, well, you know what? No, I did not notice that she came in. But like right before I actually got in, it's funny because right after I came down the aisle, she saw me in my dress and I was coming into the ceremony and she was sitting off to the side or whatever. She's like, "Hey, baby." And I was like, "I'm going to whoop your ass."
You said that to her?
I said that.
What was her reaction?
She's like, "What did I do? What did I do?" And I was like, "You know what you did." And I said that in front of my dad. I was like, "Oh, God."
That was his first taste of probably the show and all that kind of stuff.
Right, yeah. Yeah,
right.
He was like, "What is going on?" Like, I didn't explain to my dad. He was like, "Girl, you crazy. You about to go down the aisle."
And looking back, would you do it? Would you still kind of take her off the list, or would you not invite her at all? What would you do looking back in terms of Heavenly at your wedding?
I would have did the same thing.
I want to gab. Okay, so today we're gabbing with Lateasha Sweet Tea Lunceford, who joined Married to Medicine for its current 10th season and has undeniably made a big impact on this group. Sweet Tea, there's so much to talk about, so I'm excited to have you on today. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling good.
You're feeling good? Like
Yes.
Now you're deep in this whole experience, so I'm glad to hear that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So first off, I know that your wedding was months ago, but we did just watch it on TV. So I want to congratulate you on getting married. How has married life been so far?
Oh my God, married life is great. It's good to, have someone to come home to, someone that's always looking out for you, someone that's concerned for your safety and your health. So it's great to have a partner. Gregory is such a great guy. He's funny. He's crazy sometimes, he makes me laugh. Like it's great to just have someone, I can't be more happier.
That's amazing. And you really found your person. And, we just watched your wedding day, which appeared to go off, honestly, mostly without a hitch. It looked like a really great day. And it looked like you looked gorgeous. You had all your family and friends there. But obviously the exception to that is that you had taken Dr. Heavenly off the guest list. She still showed up, and then she found her way into the ceremony. I'm curious how much of in the moment you were aware of that. So like, obviously you knew you had taken her off the list, but did you know there was drama at the door? Did you notice during the ceremony her coming in?
Yeah. Oh, well, you know what? No, I did not notice that she came in, but like right before I actually got in, it's funny because right after I came down the aisle, she saw me in my dress and I was coming into the ceremony and she was sitting off to the side or whatever. She's like, "Hey, baby." And I was like, "I'm going to whoop your ass."
You said that to her?
I said that.
What was her reaction?
She's like, "What did I do? What did I do?" And I was like, "You know what you did." And I said that in front of my dad. I was like, "Oh God."
That was his first taste of probably the show and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
He was just like, "What is going on?" Like, I didn't explain to my dad, but he was like, "Girl, you crazy. You about to go down this aisle."
And looking back, would you do it? Would you still kind of take her off the list, or would you not invite her at all? What would you do looking back in terms of Heavenly at your wedding?
I would have did the same thing. I think that because I felt like she's wasted my time and she wasn't being a real friend and being authentic to me and she was talking behind my back, I probably would have done worse. If anything, I probably, if I would have had time, I probably would have just really embarrassed her. Maybe have her sit at the reception table separately and brought her like a bowl full of dog food for Buddy.
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like, Sweet Tea, a lot of people, honestly, a lot of people read that as you giving Heavenly a taste of her own medicine. And is that what you were going for?
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely wanted to give her own taste of medicine. I'm like, why not? Get dressed, take the time and come down here so I can embarrass your ass. That's what you get. I would do it again and again and again.
Got it. And is that, and you would do it again because of Is that just because of what you saw her talking about with your marriage at your bachelorette party, or is there more to come in terms of you and Heavenly?
I would do it again because of that, but there were other things. There were other things too. Like I just like looking at the show now, I'm like, dang, she was just down to me the whole time. I didn't
Mm,
know that.
Well,
So
so at the reunion, you'll have a lot to say to her.
right, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to handle the situation. Whether should I have a lot to say to her because I don't really have much to say anymore. Like, I mean, the things that I have to say, they're not nice.
So you're kind of like almost over it in a way. You're kind of just like, why even bother?
Right. Because she's been talking about me every day on
Right.
social
Yeah,
media.
I've seen a lot of tweets. I've seen a lot of tweets. I have.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess a question that I had watching that whole thing unfold is why leave Phaedra, who had brought Quad to your bachelorette party without asking, on the guest list and take Heavenly off? Like, why not also take Phaedra off if you're going to do that?
Well, Phaedra actually was taken off. Well, she wasn't taken off the list, but she had my officiate, which was a gift to Gregory. So he was actually our pastor, and we were new to the church, and she knew him personally, and she got him to come and marry us. And that was the gift that Gregory really wanted, and I wanted to give that to him. So even if it meant to invite Phaedra in just so Greg can have that gift. I was going to try to give that to him.
Got it. So otherwise, you probably wouldn't have had her there.
Right. She would have been at the door too.
Got it.
She would have
Noted.
been at the door. Right.
Okay, got it. A lot of the promos, Sweetie, made it sort of look like you had this huge reaction to Quad to Phaedra bringing Quad, but actually that reaction was actually with something more emotional with your sister, and kind of in it had to do with that, not with Quad. And
Right.
I actually watched your, so when it got to the actual reaction to Quad entering, I thought that you had a really like reserved and mature reaction to that. I was very restrained, and you even had her come sit next to you. Were you holding back bigger feelings about that happening in the moment just to kind of be cordial, or was that really how you were feeling? Like, what were you actually feeling in that moment when you saw them come in?
So after I had that breakdown, I was just like, okay, my friend, she talked to me. She was like, okay, girl, you just showed your whole ass. You need to calm down. So like, I was like, you know what, from now on, I'm not going to let anybody bother me at this point. Like nothing else can make me act out of character this way. So when she came, there was never an issue with Quad because I don't know Quad. I mean, Gregory, he has his past with her, but he asked me to keep things cordial with his ex-wife. He didn't want us to be fighting or anything like that. So when she came, it was just kind of like, oh, okay, come sit next to me. Let me tell you how I feel about you. You hear from me personally, because I just like I can sense that somebody was going to jump in and try to speak for me. And I was like, no, let me speak for me and tell you exactly how I feel about you. And I was like, they've been talking a lot about you. And, they brought her up in my engagement party, which was inappropriate. But there was never an issue with me in her.
Right.
So I just wanted to jump ahead of the ladies before they tried to stir something up.
Right. No, I genuinely think you handled that moment really, really well. Like you could have let that get to you, I think. And I think because Phaedra bringing Quad, they were obviously kind of trying to get a reaction, and you did not give them the reaction they wanted. which I think was
Exactly. I did not give them the reaction they wanted. And now they're saying I fanned out, but I'm like, okay, whatever.
got it. Got it. And Sweetie, I think just more generally, I'm curious, like, I'm curious what your expectations were about joining Married to Medicine, because obviously, you're joining the show in this friend group that's in its 10th season. And it's a show that your then fiance's ex-wife had been a part of for 10 years since the beginning. What was your expectation in terms of like what you were going to have to deal with when it came to sort of like interacting with Quad and your future husband's ex-wife? Like what were you thinking about when you first joined the show? Because it's a very unique situation to be joining.
Right. Well, I mean, Heavenly is the one that actually got me to join the group. She was very adamant about me joining the group. And I was telling her, like, I'm not really a messy type of person. Like, you guys, it's okay that you guys have a relationship with her. Again, like she congratulated us. She made it seem there was no issue. So I didn't think it was an issue particular issue is joining this group. I don't know her. She reached out to me and Gregory. She does
Mm,
not follow us. So and I don't follow her and I don't know her. But I didn't think that it would be such a big deal because actually she said she got butterflies when she saw us being engaged. So I was just like, okay, well, I mean, clearly we can should be able to coexist. And when I came in, it was just like I felt like some, heavily was somewhat trying to pit us against each other at times, and trying to stir up some things. And I just thought that I was going to meet these ladies and get to know them. We already were starting to build a relationship before being on the show, but I just thought that these are entrepreneur women. They do well for themselves. They work in the medical field, and I was in the medical field. I was a pharmacy tech. I've been around medical professionals, doctors, technicians. So I just thought that it was going to be an easy group to actually exist in. I just know that they've been doing this longer than I have, so that was going to be the challenge.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and so Heavily was the one that really got you to join the show, but then you're obviously seeing kind of right away that it's kind of for the we're trying to stir it up a little bit, right? And that's kind of what,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Does
I
that
see.
so did you kind of immediately clock that, or did you take a little bit of time for you to sort of see that, okay, maybe I don't
It
know.
took a little time for that because I was under the impression like really she was like upset with seems like she was upset with her quad or whatever, but I was still
I think
supportive
she
of the
was,
relationship.
yeah.
Yeah, she was upset with it, and that's the vibe I was getting from the group, that they were all upset with her and they hadn't heard from her in over a year. So it was just kind of like, oh, okay, well,
Right.
maybe y'all should reach out to her instead of talking about her. So it was just like, eventually I'm like, well, why not reach out to her and just check in? I mean, if you're so concerned, or are you bringing her up just to get under my skin? Like, it's just, I was so confused. And, I guess Heavenly did have arterial motive for bringing me on. And I was really hurt by that because we actually did talk. She reached out to me, we went walking together. I spent some time with Heavenly, and it's just like all for her to just use me as like a guinea pig to solidify her storyline. It's kind of disappointing.
Well, I guess once you realize, I feel like there's a way that you can sort of reclaim that, or sort of reverse it, because it's like now it's been fun watching you, because I feel like most of the women have been actually really receptive and welcoming to you in terms of bringing you into the group and kind of and supporting you on your wedding journey and all this kind of stuff. I feel like for the most part, do you feel that, or is it just with the exception of Heavenly and Quad? Or
Yes, yeah, I definitely felt that with some of the ladies, with Toya and
yeah.
Simone. I think that they were very supportive of our relationship. And Gregory has a personal relationship with Cecil. That's his friend. And I think that it was just disappointing, just how things went on with Heavenly and some of the other groups. And Jackie's really good friends with Heavenly, which is very interesting. But
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
they have a really interesting friendship, I think. Yeah,
right,
it's like an opposite attract, I think, with them almost.
right. I would never guess like if someone like Jackie would hang out with someone like Heavenly.
So
That's
does that cause a blockage with you and Jackie, do you think?
yes, I think it does.
What about you
Yeah.
and Simone, Dr. Simone?
Simone. I mean, I think Simone has her own issues with Heavenly, but sometimes a little bit it does, especially recently of all the things that I've seen. Things like Heavenly has said about me on social media. It's just not tweets; it's also YouTube channels, and
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
at this point, I think it's just mean girl behavior.
Got it. Got it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I guess what has your experience been like since now that we're deep into the season, and, fans and social media can be ruthless and not very friendly, but they can also be funny and friendly. What has your experience been like now that the show's airing and you're seeing reactions and tweets and comments? How are you holding up in terms of that?
I think it's such a, oh my God, it's like a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
One week they hate you, the next week, oh, we actually love you, then they hate you. It's just like it's so up and down.
Fickle fans. Yep.
Yeah, like they're just so up and down. But I'm starting to get a lot of supporters coming in now, especially with heavily, all the things that she's spewing online or whatever. And some people are actually starting to see through it. And I'm like, finally, you guys see, finally somebody on my side that actually sees what's going on here, and it's quite an experience. I've been getting cyberbullied. There's lies being spit out and out there in the social media, and then I'm getting attacked, and I'm getting all these goons on me, trolls. So it's crazy. But what, the messages that make me feel good are the ones that, like, oh my gosh, you're so relatable, you're so authentic, like keep being you, like, oh, you remind me of me, or I'm in an age gap relationship. It's just like I feel like I'm reaching out to a lot of women out there that can relate to me.
That's good. Yeah. And I feel like that I think it's hard being the new person, especially when you're new, but we know we knew Greg, and we obviously have, there's a 10-year buildup with Quad of people knowing her. So it's like, I think every time there's a new episode, I think that will peel back another layer of who Sweet Tea is. I think that will endear you to even more people. It should get, I think, better with time, but you were in a tough position coming into the show. You really were.
Like, it's a very sensitive moment in my life, like getting married, trying on dresses. Like,
you really jumped into it. And I admired that. I mean, it's kind of a fearless move. It really is. It really is. Yeah. Yeah. There are two comments I think that I've seen a lot of, like, just reaction to on social media. I'm sure you've seen people reacting to them. It's two comments that you've made on the show. One was, I think it was in the first episode, you had said that one of the good things about being with Dr. Greg was access to the money. And I think that you were joking, but it sounds like people have really taken that and run with it. Is there anything you want to clear up about that comment?
Yes. When I made that comment, of course, like what's wrong with I have my own resources. Okay. I make 6 figures already on my own. I was a veteran in the military. I worked for the intelligence community. Like, I have my own resources. Why not get more? You know what I'm saying? Why not get more? And Gregory is the type of person, he's a provider. Why not take control of that strength? That's his strength. He's a provider. I'm going to have access to his money. He's going to have access to my money, but I'm the one that's I plan the trips. I'm the one that manages the money. I think that's my strength. So, like, people took that and ran with it without knowing my background. And then he posted me for Veterans Day or something. And they were like, oh, wow, you did the ultimate thing, served your country and made the ultimate sacrifice,
So people got respect for that, I hope. Yeah, exactly.
Right. They were like, oh, okay. All right. But yeah, like I was joking. Like, I talk a lot of shit, I just like to chat. Like, I'm funny, but like Gregory, he has to make me take money from him. You know what I'm saying?
Right. The other comment that I think raised some eyebrows, that again, that you can clear up here if you want, is I think there was a conversation that you had about, or maybe it was a confessional about him being a little controlling. And I'm curious, like, if anything you want to clear up about that or explain about that comment that you made.
Yes. So at the time, I mean, I was having drinks. What I thought I was having drinks with a friend, confiding in a friend. But whenever you're upset about something, you sometimes you think about those things, and you're like, okay, you pinpoint it, and you feel like, oh, maybe his ex was right about something, because heavily has talked to me about the relationship. But I would say that Gregory was operating in a way of just making sure that I was safe, and I was upset with him because it's like, hey, why would you do something like that to get my attention to set the alarm, But my mom, actually, think about it, like my mom actually did something like that before too, but it was just like, I was just upset about it. And like, we talked about it. I think in a relationship, you have to learn how to resolve issues. You're going to have issues. And all it was a conversation that we had to have. And we were working through it. We worked through it, and that was the past. And now we're moving forward. That's what you're supposed to do in a marriage.
Right. Of course. It's probably hard to do that when you're watching this stuff back and then hearing all the reactions to it. I think that's one of the hardest parts of being on a show like you're on, but you'll learn how to do that, and it's probably, you're learning it right now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked a little about, like, sort of what your expectations were going into the show. What has the reality been of this experience for you? Like, have you been really enjoying this? Because I know obviously you take the bad with the good, but I hope that the good has been outweighing the bad for you.
You know what? It's so funny because like I think every day I just kind of battle with it, like, oh, did I make the right decision? Like I think that I can't really say if I'll do it again until I go through the whole experience, until I get to the end.
Right.
And it just depends on like maybe, I want to be able to reach those women out there, those everyday women, and I want them to look at me and say, hey, she did it. Why can't I? She's able to exist in these groups with these prominent women that, are doctors, attorneys, and I can do that too. I can be amongst that group.
Oh
And
yeah.
that makes me feel good when I have fans reach out to me and they're like, "Oh my God, you're so relatable. You're so authentic. Like I'm in an age gap relationship group. Can you start one for me?" And I'm all about serving my people. I'm all about that. And if I can continue doing that through this show, I will.
Yeah, that's great. And I also think, I've been watching these shows for 15 years now, and you kind of always think that you've seen or you've heard everything. And I had never heard of an age gap support group. That was a new piece of information for me. And I think that's that, but that is that is of value, I think, in watching these shows. It's finding out new corners of the human experience and about new kinds of people that you haven't been exposed to. And I think you're bringing in like a genuinely authentic vibe
Yes.
to any scene that you're in. And I hope that you keep that top of mind as you kind of continue to go through this experience. It's something that people are appreciating from you. I really think that.
Good. Yay. I'm glad.
Good. Well, Sweet Tea, this has been so much fun. I really appreciate your openness and your honesty. And again, I'm having fun watching you on this show, and I hope that the cyberbullying stops. I hope that you can keep your head up as you go through this. And I'm excited for the reunion. I feel like there's a lot to address there, but there's a lot more to go this season. I know.
Yep, there is.
There
Thank you
is.
so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you so much, and hope we'll talk again soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye. I want to gab.